All right, so we finally got some information regarding the new December DLC update for GTA Online. Rockstar honestly really hasn't shared that much. All we know is that one, they released a trailer and gave a little bit of information about what's going to be in the update. So basically, with the trailer that they released today, it is just basically a simple like 10-second shot of just the new mansion, one of the new mansions, as well as also just a bit of an insight of how things are going to look and potentially some of the new vehicles, which will of course be breaking down in this video. So before we get into it, if you guys do enjoy videos like this and want to see more regarding this update, then I already know what to do. Subscribe and put up post notifications. But first, let's start off with the mansion. So we know that the main thing is the fact that we can actually see the interior of these mansions, and when you see properties like that, it most likely means that we can just walk inside the mansion instead of having specific cutscenes like we usually do with other safe houses and properties in the game, which is honestly going to be really cool. I'm not sure how Rockstar is going to do it, since obviously multiple people will be owning this mansion, but there's probably some way that Rockstar is able to let that happen. We also know that with these mansions, it is going to be somewhat close to the Caprico or Mini Madrazo mansion that we have. So that's one of them. We've seen the construction they're building. There's going to be, pretty much a new rework of how like the pools are going to be, construction around it, all of that. We also know there's going to be a helipad on top of it. There's going to be just a bunch of, important things. And then looking into the cars, so there's a total of 4 cars that Rockstar has shown so far. So we have this green one, the blue one, this yellowish one, then there's another kind of yellowish or kind of orange one that's more up to the front of the line. So honestly, I'm not really sure what these vehicles are going to be. It's just going to be, pretty much a bunch of super and sport cars, and I would assume that's going to be probably the majority of most of them in this update, since it's going to be focused on rich and having a lot of money. But honestly, Rockstar usually has probably around like 6 to 7 cars on the first day that they released, and then have a bit of drift fed, which we'll eventually see. I would assume there's going to be a bunch of like unique vehicles that come out, besides like the expensive ones, probably just like vehicles that probably been in GTA Online for a little bit, that kind of correlate with a bunch of missions that we have releasing as well, just side content, and then probably just the random NPC vehicles that we have in day-to-day life that Rockstar has added already. So I think the previous update we had like the Honda Accord, and before that we had like the Nissan Altima. So just things like that, regular cars Rockstar probably is going to put into the game. And then Rockstar also shared some screenshots, and of course this one is the regular Revolter that we already have in the game, but what's kind of interesting is that we get a better look of how the driveway is going to be, which is going to be really nice. Honestly, can't wait to pull up in the driveway with the car, parking it up and everything like that. We have a security guard or some type of guard, whatever, in the front, which is going to be interesting. I would assume they're going to also have some type of surveillance system that we can access from inside, just adding more to it. And then we also have this other screenshot, which is pretty much the same thing. It just gives a different, perspective of one of these side doors. Really, honestly, I think Rockstar is probably going to make this a lot more interesting and just, I don't know, just crazier than everything that Rockstar can do, because it is kind of like a bit of insights to what GTA 6 is going to kind of have inside of it. So I would just assume that Rockstar is probably going to be putting a lot of things that we wouldn't even expect with, within the mansion, probably just customization wise, and also just like, activities in the mansion, all of that. So even though this is probably one of the last DLCs that we'll ever have in GTA Online, I do expect Rockstar to at least put a lot of effort into it and not just make it like a simple, just still house that we already have, for like the simple apartments where nothing much really happens. And I would assume a lot of missions are going to come with this too, and just probably just a bunch of things to keep it interested at least for a few weeks, because usually how Rockstar does it is that obviously with this update releasing on the 9th, we have pretty much about a full week to enjoy the update, play it, and then Rockstar is going to be having the Christmas update, which is going to probably add more to it, add new content, all of that. So we'll see how Rockstar decides to continue on, and they're probably going to bring in a bunch of stuff from last year that already happened too, with like some of the Christmas presents and all of that. So but besides that though, I'm pretty excited for this update. I do just hope that Rockstar puts up a lot more into it, because right now we don't have that much information, so it does seem kind of bland, but we'll have to see within the next like week or two what Rockstar is going to be continuing to do. But that is the update though. It is seemed to be called, or at least right now, a Safehouse in the Hills. We'll see if Rockstar decides to change up the name or put something else like that. But if you guys did enjoy, you already know what to do. Subscribe. Don't forget to put up post notifications, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.